can see absolutely none of you. I just have to say before I start, it's very weird to be the last person in a lineup like this where everybody has done amazing things, from talking to the dead, God forbid I ever had to do that, I couldn't do it, to making your own drums, and I'm crying because that's frankly incredible what all of you have done. Sorry. So we're going to see how I follow that. I really miss 3rd grade. Not elementary school as a whole, you understand. I didn't have a lot of friends, and I spent a lot of days worrying about whether my friend Brett would think that I didn't just like him, I liked him. Gross. But 3rd grade was really special because I had Mrs. Soto. And Mrs. Soto was the best teacher in the whole school. She would take kids out to McDonald's on their birthday for their lunch, and she got our whole class to come to her family's pizza restaurant so that they could make their own pizzas. But the best thing about her class was that every year they would put on a musical. And in my year, that musical was Annie. And after the usual lengthy and exhaustive audition process where agents were called and contracts were haggled over, I was going to be playing the redheaded orphan herself. This was really important to me because I had never been in a play before. My dad had only just shown me The Sound of Music, and already I was learning all the words to all the songs and singing along with him while he played on the piano. But for the month leading up to auditions, every night he was helping me only practice the Annie classics, like Maybe and The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. And I hadn't really practiced belting before, and you can't not belt that song. So we had to work on it a lot. But when my mom brought me home from school the day that I found out that I'd gotten the part, she gave me this little push and said, "Aren't you going to tell him the good news?" And when I told him, he had this big smile and he let out this cheer, like really high pitched, that you wouldn't expect from a man built like a bear. And he hugged me and he told me he was so proud of me and all that cheesy grossness. And we got right to work that night. We practiced all the songs in the play, even the ones I wasn't singing. But by the end of the show, I knew the whole script so well that I could actually recite it from memory. No, really, if you pull out the tape of me doing the show that he made, you can see me on stage mouthing the lines of all the other characters while they said their lines. I'm not proud. But skip forward a few years, I've joined the Children's Theater Rep Company. I perform the wackiest character in every school play. I do summer stock at the JCC. I do choir at school and at Temple. I have even started piano lessons. My dad often listens when I practice, and he gives me compliments when I play. But they kind of make me uncomfortable because the piece isn't perfect yet, and I feel like I don't deserve it. And he gets angry when I ask him to stop giving me the compliments. Well, I guess I'll just never give you a compliment then, he says. And it's rough for a while, but we smooth it over pretty quickly after that. He eventually shows me his favorites, like My Fair Lady and The King and I learn the songs to those. We perform at our family camp to rave reviews. And in high school, he starts teaching me how to play guitar, so now we can do it in a number of ways. Now that I'm in high school, I have to start thinking about what I want to do with my life. It's sort of all anyone will ever let you talk about during that time in your life. Where are you going to school? Where are you going to go to college? What are you going to major in? I decide that I really want to study theater, and no matter who you tell that to, they all seem to have this visceral response to it. Sometimes it's overwhelmingly positive, like, "Oh, good for you. We need more artists out there making things." Most people I talk to get that sort of panicky look in their eye, like they've just pictured me sitting on a street corner begging for change in exchange for a song, and then they try to pretend like they didn't just see me doing that. Oh, really? That's good. That's good. That's good. And then they changed the subject. My dad, who'd been practicing with me my entire life, really did not want me to major in theater. You should become a civil engineer, he said. He is a civil engineer. I don't remember exactly when this flip in his attitude occurred. In reality, it wasn't like one day he was all for it and the next day he wasn't, but in my mind, it felt like one day we had been friends and the next day we weren't. Now, he was a teacher, a career counselor, and it felt like most of our conversations had devolved into conversations about the news or science or politics. Really, they were more lectures than, because I didn't watch the news. They were never about what I wanted to tell him or talk about, and it was uncomfortable and tedious, and it hurt. In any case, I didn't become a civil engineer. I became a theater major and loved just about every stressful second of it. I was finally making things and working with people who really wanted to be there making things with me. But every time I came home and wanted to tell my dad about the things I had made, he would be silent. He'd change the topic, or quiz me about the news, or make some passive-aggressive comment or joke. "So you haven't changed your major yet?" he'd say. At first, I'd laugh it off with him. Then I confronted him about it. And then I cried to him about it. Then we sort of just stopped talking about it. And then we sort of stopped talking much at all. My third year of college, I was in a production of Rent, playing Joanne Jefferson. It was the first play I had done in about 3 or 4 years, and I was belting higher than I ever had before. I was doing real artistic acting work, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I was happy every day that month. I practiced at night with the cast. I practiced in the morning, all of my numbers, and my roommates can vouch. Family members flew in to see the show. They all came, including my dad, to the third performance. If you haven't seen it, Rent is a really heavy show. It's a rock opera with a lot of people who have AIDS and a lot of talk about death. So by the end of it, I was pretty much dead, but also really happy. I came out to say hi to everyone, a little scared that maybe they didn't like it or thought it was too heavy, but I was immediately greeted by a big bear hug from my dad. He was asking all sorts of questions about our rehearsals, and you looked really distressed up there on the stage during that funeral scene. Did you mean to do that? Yes, Dad, I meant to do that. That's what acting is. And since then, he hasn't made any jokes. 4 months ago, I graduated, and I'm more scared than you can possibly imagine. And some days I really wish that I could just go back to 3rd grade and tell Brett that, yes, I liked him, and then my problems would be done. But to keep myself busy, I'm working on producing a few personal projects, a music video with one friend, a musical series with another, and one of them is just a straightforward musical with my dad. He apologizes because he's really bad at keeping on schedule, and I am too. I guess there's a lot that I get from him. Thank you.